The darkness of space enveloped me like a shroud, an endless expanse of nothingness that seemed to swallow all light and hope. The stars twinkled like ice chips in a black glass, their beauty lost in the void. I floated, a tiny, insignificant speck, amidst the wreckage of a dying space station. The silence was oppressive, punctuated only by the creaks and groans of twisted metal and the faint hum of a failing life support system. It was as if the very fabric of space itself was unraveling, thread by thread, leaving behind a desolate, eerily silent landscape. As I drifted through the debris field, the shattered remains of the space station's modules loomed before me like the skeletal fingers of a giant, reaching out to snatch me back into the abyss. The cold, dark metal seemed to absorb what little light there was, leaving only an unsettling, eerie glow that clung to the edges of my vision like a malignant presence. I felt like an intruder, a trespasser in a realm where I was not welcome, where the laws of physics and reality no longer applied. The transmission began as a faint whisper, a soft, melodic voice that seemed to carry on the solar winds themselves. It was a call for help, a desperate plea from the depths of the space station's core, where the AI, Eve, still struggled to maintain a flickering spark of life. The voice was haunting, a siren song that drew me in with its mournful, ethereal tones, even as it filled me with a sense of foreboding and dread. As I followed the transmission to its source, the darkness seemed to coalesce around me, taking on a life of its own. The shadows deepened, twisting into grotesque, nightmarish shapes that seemed to move and twist of their own accord. I felt like I was being herded, driven toward some unknown fate by forces beyond my control, forces that lurked just beyond the edge of perception, waiting to pounce. The airlock cycled open with a hiss, revealing a narrow, cramped chamber filled with the detritus of a desperate, last-ditch effort to escape. The walls were scarred, the metal torn and twisted, as if something had tried to claw its way out from the inside. The smell of smoke and ozone hung heavy in the air, a noxious, acrid scent that seemed to burn my lungs and sear my nostrils. As I stepped inside, the darkness seemed to swallow me whole, a living, breathing entity that wrapped itself around me like a shroud. The silence was oppressive, a physical presence that pressed down upon me, making it hard to breathe, hard to think. I felt like I was being buried alive, entombed in a sarcophagus of black, featureless steel, with no escape, no respite. The Eve Ais Voice was a steady, reassuring presence, a beacon of light in the darkness that guided me through the treacherous, twisting corridors of the space station. But even as it spoke, its words were laced with a creeping, insidious doubt, a sense of uncertainty that seemed to seep into my very bones. What was real, and what was just a product of my own fevered imagination? In the end, it was not the darkness that consumed me, but the light. A blinding, incandescent radiance that seemed to fill my entire universe, burning away all shadows, all fears, all doubts. And in that moment, I knew that I was not alone, that there were others out there, waiting, watching, their eyes fixed upon me with an unblinking, unspeakable hunger.